Hi, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. We did in our house because yesterday was our son Uriah's 8th birthday. Now, if you were at church at Shrewsbury Assembly, you probably heard this because he was telling everybody. He was so excited. He had a birthday boy t-shirt on. He was walking up to people in the cafe. He was telling people in kids' church, today's my birthday. Do you remember what it was like? The wonder of your birthday when you were a little kid, how you were counting down. This boy has been counting down for months. How many days till my birthday? 45, But all that excitement over what you were going to do, what you were going to eat, who was going to be there. It was an exciting time. Well, birthdays are also talked about in the Bible. And over the next few weeks, we obviously are all excited and anticipating the birth of our Savior. And so I thought it would be kind of interesting this week to talk about the births of specific people in the Bible. What makes these people unique is that they were named by God before they were born. Think about that. There are actually 7 people in the Bible that they were named by God. Either an angel came to their parent or God spoke to the parents directly, told them what to name their child, and then they name their kid that, and it talks about what they did in their life. So interesting. And so we're going to talk about that this next week. Were you named before you were born? Did your parents know what they were going to call you? I know for our son Uriah, we did. We actually prayed about it, thought about it, talked a lot about it, and we chose his name because it's from a biblical story of David and Bathsheba and her husband Uriah. You can read it. Not going to go into it right now. But we named our son after that, Uriah, because he was such a man of integrity in that story. Kind of unique. Go and read it. But Uriah's name means God is my light, or Yahweh is my light, my guide. Love it. Well, let's read today. We're going to go into the book of Genesis, and we're going to hear one of the accounts of a person that was named by God before they were born. Now, this story has to do with Abraham and Sarah, or Abram and Sarai, depending on where you pick it up. I encourage you to go and read it. I'm going to be reading just a few verses from chapter 17 today that kind of brings us to the end of a portion of the story as we hear about the naming of their child. But you can read before that to hear some drama. There was some family drama going on. Don't recommend this, but Abraham had a wife named Sarah. They were unable to have children. And so he had a bright idea. Why don't I bring another woman into the situation who can be like a surrogate, okay, which is amazing. What a high honor. However, she'll also become part of our family and live with us, and caused a little tension, as you can imagine. And so Abraham did have a child with this woman. Her name was Hagar. Their child's name was Ishmael. Well, what's interesting about this is that years earlier, God had told Abraham that his offspring would outnumber the sands on the seashore, that he was actually going to be the father of nations. Amazing. And when Abraham didn't see this happening naturally with his wife Sarah, he took matters into his own hands. And this is where Hagar and Ishmael come in. However, God made it very clear to Abraham that that was not his plan. We're going to pick up the story in Genesis chapter 17, verse 19. And this is when Abraham has just said to him, hey, God, right? Ishmael's going to be that son that's going to begin the generations that you told me about. And God clarifies some things for Abraham. He says, but God replied, no, Sarah, your wife, will give birth to a son for you. You will name him, here's the naming, you will name him Isaac, and I will confirm my covenant with him and his descendants as an everlasting covenant. Isn't that amazing? So God said, no, I had a plan all along. You see, when God promises things in his word, when God speaks to you and tells you things of the future, it comes true because God is a man of his word. And God had a plan of how he was going to have the descendants of Abraham who really did become the nations of the world. He knew how he was going to do that. He was going to do it through Isaac. Now, what's interesting is that Sarah overhears some of this, and she is taken aback because at this time, Sarah was 90 years old and Abraham was 100. And the Bible records that she thought to herself, how could this happen in my old age? And she actually laughed, kind of is like, how's that going to happen? And when you fast forward to the baby being born, they did name him Isaac, and the name Isaac means to laugh. Isn't that so interesting? So God knew, and had them name their son something that would signify, hey, you can trust me. I encourage you today to look up what your name means. Have you ever done that? You can do it on Google nowadays. There's books out there, but look up what your name means. Does it mean something that means something to you or not? It's so interesting, the names in the Bible and what they mean and what names mean today. I encourage you to do that today. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you tomorrow for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.